great lunch and a great day, of course. Back again to innoXjogja. This is the second panel for this third day of innoXjogja. Now, before we start the panel, this session, it will be going to discuss about planting the seeds for a local and regional farming ecosystem. And it will be moderated by Widya Sukarta, the Hub Manager of Innovation Factory and Block 71 Jakarta. And also our panelist is Mas Aryo Wiryawan, the CEO of INDMIRA, and Mbak Wilda Romadona, the head of Regopantes 8 villages, and also Daryl Lim, the co-founder of augmentus. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I pass it to Widya, I want to remind you all, don't forget to check out our innoXjogja platform and check out our virtual booth, and also get networking with all the participants in innoXjogja. Now, Widya, are you ready? I pass it screen and time to you.
Thank you, Rizky. So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to today's panel discussion. So as Rizky said, today's topic is planting the seeds for a local and regional farming ecosystem. Let me introduce myself a bit. My name is Widya Sukarta. I'm the Hub Manager of Innovation Factory and Block 7 Indonesia, a tech and innovation hub in Indonesia. So I'm lucky today to be joined by Pak Aryo, founder of INDMIRA, and Bu Wilda, the head of Regopantes from 8 villages, and Daryl Lim, the COO and co-founder of augmentus. So maybe before we start, everybody can have like a brief introduction about themselves, to see what you guys are doing, and maybe share a bit about your company and also what you guys are doing. So maybe I can start first by Pak Aryo, you can share a bit about yourself and also about INDMIRA. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Widya, and hi all. Yep. My name is Aryo Wiryawan. I'm the founder and CEO of INDMIRA Group. Actually, INDMIRA Group is a group of companies that are working towards the production of sustainable food. So all of our group are working toward providing sustainable food for the future. And also, I am the co-founder and chairman of Jalatech, a startup company specializing in data analytics and also sensors in shrimp industry. Yeah, that's a bit about me. Back to you, Widya. Thank you.
Thank you, Aryo. Maybe Bu Wilda can share a bit about yourself, also what Regopantes is doing and its villages.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the chance that given for us to share to all of you. I'm Wilda Romadona, head of the one of the agri-tech company in Indonesia who want to accelerate village modernization. We focus on two side in the farming side. The first is on the community side, and the second is on the commerce side. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Wilda. And last but hopefully not least is Daryl Lim. Maybe you can share a bit about yourself and also what augmentus is doing.
Yeah, thanks, Widya. Yeah, so I'm Daryl. I'm the co-founder of augmentus. So for me and my team, what we do is that we create the first no-code and fully integrated AI robot programming solution. So what we do is that, let's say if you have no technical expertise or your company has no technical expertise in robotics, we will help you together with our partners to be able to develop, deploy, as well as operate these robotic systems, no code, just simply all done on the iPad. So that's what we do. And actually, we've already helped quite a number of agri-tech companies, urban farms, also industrial automation manufacturing companies to reduce their costs as well as increase their deployment times by over 10 times across a wide variety of applications as well. So I'm looking forward to exploring and learning more from the other panelists as well.
Thank you, Daryl. So yeah, so maybe we can start the deep dive into today's topic, right? So maybe just as a brief introduction about the topic, like when people think about farming, they would think of somebody who's like toiling at the farm, right? Just a man at the field, but tending to his livestock or crops. But I think today farming in itself has changed, but the vision in the general public is still the same. So maybe you can share a bit, how has the farming landscape has changed over the last decade? Maybe coming from Pa Aryo dulu, you can share a bit about how
Siap.
the farming has changed.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
I think there is a connection
you-
problem. Yeah, I think it's
Can
okay
you hear
now.
me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I think especially in Indonesia, farming industry in the last decade hasn't been, I think, innovating enough from my view, because I've been in farming industry on and off since more or less 1994. So when I was in high school, I've been helping my father in the farms. So I see that the way farmers do their farming, I think in Indonesia is still, I think farming in Indonesia is one of the slowest growth in terms of technology adoption in Indonesia. But that I think poses an opportunity for us to innovate more, because right now innovating in farming industry is inevitable, I think, because in the future we face with more and more population in this world. So we have to provide, the farmers have to provide a food for the population, right? So, but we don't have any more arable land that we are needed to increase our yield. So we have to focus on how can we make the current production land more productive, more intensive, and I think that's the direct direction of farming in general, I think, for the future. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Aryo. You shared a very interesting insight, actually, like how the fact that Indonesia's farming has not evolved as much, even though, like, I think a large portion of our GDP and also the population actually earn their keep from like farming. So, Bu Wilda, how about from your side? Do you share the same view, or do you see something else about the farming landscape?
Yeah, for the farming itself, McKinsey shared the data. The agriculture sector is the lowest sectors. They have the index of the industry digitalization, and we know that in Indonesia, like there are many startups grow their business in this kind of the agriculture sectors. I think this is the good opportunity for us in Indonesia to grow up our agriculture digitalization index itself, Mbak Widya. Because not only on technology, but we can also explore the farmers itself in terms of the community and the regulation itself.
Okay. Yeah, so that is an interesting point as well. You see, like a lot of the startups in Indonesia has been like attacking the agriculture industry from the community, not only from the technology side, but also, as you said, from the community side. Last but not least, what about you, Daryl? You are heading a company that deals with robotics and AI. Like, how have you seen this change the farming landscape, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I completely agree with Aryo and Rhoda, especially about Aryo's point about how like it's moving on to about productivity, like human, they call it a human productivity increase, right, per employee and like stuff like that. Yeah, I completely agree, because Singapore. So in case you don't know, I'm from Singapore. My company is based in Singapore, and our operations are all done in Singapore at the moment as well, and some in Southeast Asia. And Singapore is a completely opposite of Indonesia. So we tend to offshore a lot of our like farming, a lot of our like we call it the dirty jobs per se, or like so we import a lot of our resources. And COVID-19 hit, and then right now there's a big push towards kind of like farming, urban farming in Singapore. So I think in Singapore there's this new initiative called the 30 by 30. So 30% of like food supply by 2030. So that's the goal. And a lot of the companies, a lot of the startups are actually really pushing towards this narrative, because there's a lot of governmental support to really push towards this. And in Singapore, there's no land. So everything is about vertical farming. It's about increasing the productivity or the output just by what it has right now. So I completely agree with what Aryo was saying. And I've been to Malaysia, to Thailand. There are urban farming solutions that are getting very, very developed as well. But I do see the biggest barrier, I think we'll go into this later as well. The biggest barrier is really about the fragmentation of this industry, because a lot of people do not really understand technology. And then it's very, very novel in its adoption in this industry as well.
Yeah, you brought across a really interesting technology, or like the thing that is happening in the agriculture, this urban farming and vertical farming, right? So maybe to hear about more from Pak Aryo, like, do you see this kind of technology is appearing in Indonesia as well? This kind of like the urban and vertical farming coming in, or do you think it's more still traditional farming, which is more like smallholder farming here?
Yeah, in terms of technology adoption, I think many farmers in Indonesia, especially corporate farmers, they are trying to adopt new technology, but their main driver was productivity and efficiency, how to produce more food cheaper. That's the goal of corporate farmers, right? But for smallholder farmers, I think most of them are still doing their old practices, because right now there is no such kind of technology that's suitable for them. I think in general in Indonesia, on average, land ownership of farmers are only 0.25 hectares, if I'm remember it correctly. 0.25 or 0.3 hectares per farmers. That's quite small. So if you want to do efficiency, if you want to put technology in it, usually you have to do it in a much larger scale, right? With tractors and things like that. But I think that's open up some opportunity with technology like Daryl had with augmentus. Maybe small scale automation that would be very great in Indonesia, in Indonesian landscape. I think that's going to be a good startup idea for the future.
Yeah. Daryl, do you have anything to add to that small scale automation?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree actually. I think in my opinion about adoption, right, it's really about the proof case, right, the use case. And I think in my opinion is that the use case or the return on investment, the economics hasn't been really proven in the agri side of things. Like in industrial automation, manufacturing, it's been proven, it's been done for years. But it's a very new thing in agri-tech. So I believe the first company, like for us, we hope to partner with that company that really proves the use case or the return on investment, the economic case for in Indonesia, for instance. That would be a good, that would be a gold mine per se. Yeah. So I think Aryo's point is on the dot. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. So I think we're looking at more the technology side. For maybe that you were talking about like community, right? How that one of your focus is not only on the modernization but our community. What are the roles on community in urban and like farming? How we can innovate and develop in this, like from your experience?
Yeah. Yes, as the startup, we bring the technology. For the first time, it's really focused on the individual and the smallholders of farmers. But I think the scalability is not going so fast. And then we try to what is it? We try to connect with the farmers, and the key point of the farmers itself is about the community itself. Why? Because like Aryo said before, the holders farmers, right? So they should make an association, the group of farmers itself, so they can use the technology. We are not focusing on the old farmers, but we are, because why? Because they can adapt the technology fastly, more fast than the old farmers itself. And surprisingly, it get the big impact for their community, the whole community, not only their individual as the smallholder farmers, but the impact is affected to the whole community, like that, Mbak Widya.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so that is interesting as well, like how the community plays a huge role. Like you don't only focus on one, but maybe focus on many at the same time. So yeah, so we look into the technology, but we also see that global warming has affected the farming ecosystem, right? And we see that the temperatures are changing and also the weathers are changing. So from your perspective, how has the modern day farmers adapted to these challenges in the ecosystem and also in the nature side? So maybe Pa Aryo, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, because right now I think most of the farmers that I met, they always talking about global warming, about climate change, how the rainy season has shifted. They usually can recognize some nature signs about when to do paddy, when to do jagung or cornfield. And things like that, but right now it is quite difficult for them to guess when it is the best time to start planting something, to start harvesting something. So that's quite a challenge, and then I think that's also quite an opportunity for technology, just like maybe weather forecasting right now is quite reliable nowadays. I think it's been developing pretty good in the last few years. I think that could be something that the farmers can use with their forecast, and then maybe also in the case of Jala, my startups, we are trying to see if certain kind of water quality, because we are measuring water quality inside a shrimp farm and also in the body of water around the farms. So we are trying to see a pattern develops during the farming period or during the off season, to see whether which pattern are good for a better harvest, and which pattern are maybe more prone to disease or things like that. So I think we can use AI technology to help farmers dealing with climate change. I think that's one area that I can be sure of in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Payo. Yeah, that is interesting how AI can help the farmers predict things and also how to measure, as you said, the water quality and all. Maybe from your side, Daryl, like the global warming has affected the farming ecosystem, like, and as you said that like this is an opportunity for technology, right? So what do you think are the other opportunities that what are the opportunities that can that you can attack for this problem of the global warming and the climate change in the farming ecosystem?
Okay. Yeah. I think the things that Aryo brought up was really relevant as well. I think in Singapore, not as relevant, because to be honest, we don't have the land space. So a lot of the times we just do vertical farming, right? So vertical farming, everything is controlled. And actually that isn't always a good thing, because when you control things, energy has to be involved. So I think it kind of falls back to my return on investment, the economic sense of things as well. So and most of the cost of this kind of return on investment issues lies in energy, and then energy lies in air conditioning. So you can see where it's going with global warming as well. So I really think that the adoption of AI and robotics, and like even like what he mentioned about using solar panels, using climate control systems, these small incremental revolutions would have a tremendous impact on vertical farming. I think I'm coming more from that angle in general. And the biggest one, I think, from the way I look at it, the biggest one is regarding energy. Because currently right now, when I discuss with some of our clients across the region, right, not just in Singapore, so we have some clients as well that's doing stuff in the Middle East for vertical farms. Their biggest concern is about energy. So it's about LEDs, it's about air conditioning. I think these two are the big ones. So if a startup, if your company can like kind of try to reduce the energy efficiency of these things, I think it'll be a tremendous impact as well. Yeah.
Sorry, Widya. I think I will touch something that Mbak Widya. Sorry, not Mbak Widya, but Wilda, right? Sorry, I cannot read your background. Okay, about community. I think that's also one thing that very important in Indonesia in terms of how farmers can develop, because technology adoption in small farmers individually, that's quite challenging, and I think the unit economic would be hard to justify, right? But if they are cooperating, forming some kind of farmers cooperation or things like that, I think that's one of the important part of how farmers can adopt new technology. Yeah, the cooperation of the farmers itself, that's very important.
Thank you, Pak Aryo. Mungkin Bu Wilda, kayak, have you seen this kind of like real case studies where there's like cooperation and farmers where they implement technology together? Maybe you can share a bit from your experience. Yeah. I think you're still muted. Yeah.
Sorry, you can repeat it.
Mungkin Bu Wilda, you can share a bit about like from real case studies or from your experience of you see how this cooperation have managed to adopt technology together.
Yes, from our experience, we on the first time we work with the farmers located in Central Java, Jogja, etc. And then we have the difficulties about the logistic itself. So we try to work together with the farmers located in West Java. And then we are surprisingly, we know that in Central Java, they have a lot of association of the farmers. They can manage the schedule of the harvest, the schedule of the crop types itself, and the schedule to sell their products. So they have the marketing and distribution division in their association, and it helps it very helps them to grow their business. So if you know that in Indonesia in the middle of 2020 chili is the cheapest the price of chili is very cheap, and then we know that it's only works in the location outside the west of Java. But for the local farmers in west of Java, they can control the market price itself. Because why? Because they have the association to schedule the harvest time itself.
Okay. That's really cool. So this principle where they can schedule and they work together, and kind of the innovation is not necessarily in the technology, but actually how we can like share information and also stuff like that. Mungkin Pak Aryo want to share something? I see you.
I think if you are cooperating, one of the power that you have is controlling the price, right? That's the one that I think Mbak Wilda also mentioning. I think that's very important, because right now if you are talking to farmers, if you are asking what are their problem, I think 90% of them will be saying market is their problem. Yes. But actually
capital.
And capital. Yeah, the second one is capital. But actually I think it's not the market that is the problem, but how to access the market and how to control the market, that's a problem. So I think that's the area that I think 8 villages are addressing right now, right, Mbak Wilda?
Yes. sometimes the market demand and the supply side is not matched. So the farmers have a lot of products and the market do not need that kind of product. And then when the market need that product, the farmers do not plan that product like that, something like that. I think this is the what is it? The problem of the conventional supply chain in Indonesia. The market and the farmers do not what is it? Do not match in this ecosystem. That's why we work with the community, because we are not bringing the market to them, but we want to what is it? To match their product with the market itself.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I think you highlighted one of the key problem of the conventional supply chain is that like the market and pricing as well. Maybe to look into like a different perspective as well, maybe from Daryl's side, as you said, like Singapore is they are very short on land. There's not a lot of land for farming, and so they're transitioning to more urban and vertical farming. Do you see what other kind of like technologies or what kind of innovation that are happening in the urban farming industry that helps to manage with like climate change and also food source scarcity? Yeah.
I think Wilda and Aryo's point on supply and demand matching is very important as well. I'm not sure in Indonesia's current state, but actually in Singapore, I know of a few startups and companies that are actively using data, using AI, using predictive algorithms to enable kind of a matchmaking of demand and supply. The way they pitch it is really about food wastage, right? Because if there's an excess of supply, then the excess of supply will be thrown away because you can't keep it for too long. It's a perishable goods. So that's exactly what's happening right now in a lot of Singapore companies. I know of a few that are doing this. So it's very interesting how like this same technology, if they tweak it a bit, can maybe be applied to Indonesia to solve seemingly a very big problem that Wilda and Aryo mentioned. So thanks for sharing. I learned quite a fair bit as well. With regards to the technologies that can be applied to address climate change, I think the biggest one, I think as I mentioned before, is really about the energy side of things, because that from my experience and my clients sharing me, that is really one of the biggest return on investment barriers and constraints when it comes to vertical farms. And if we keep talking about the context of vertical farms, that is a big constraint. But if we talk about the context of non-vertical farms, so like horticulture and stuff like that, it appears to be more in terms of manpower. So in Singapore, labor cost is very, very high. So it's almost impossible to hire like enough farmers. So that's where robotics comes in. And there are a lot of government grants that supports for robotics. But I think the key thing is about high mix, low volume. So how flexible is the robotic system for different sizes and different locations and stuff like that. So it gets a bit more technical, but I do see that as a very big issue as well.
Okay. Yeah, so that is really cool actually from my side. For me, I can't really imagine it, like how you can use robotics in the like vertical farming. I've seen a couple of pictures, but I think I really want to go inside vertical farming to see how it works. Right? So I think we've tackled a bit about the market and capital problem, right? So, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the biggest problem of Indonesia is also production efficiencies, like ensuring the quantity of quality of yield of the farming production, right? So maybe Aryo can share a bit about these problems if you have like real case study, and also how we can help improve this kind of like problems in the farming industry in Indonesia.
Yeah. I think one of the problem because the farmers in Indonesia are mostly individual and smallholders, that make us farmers a bit difficult to access the market and to know what to plant this season and things like that, and that makes production efficiency is difficult, because sometimes in one area, for example, we have just have a cooperation with ginger farmers in southern part of Yogyakarta, They plant ginger and other empon-empon, other what do you call it, empon-empon, other like curcumin and things like that. So they planted they planted individually in their own houses in small scales. So every time a buyers came in and they asking for a large quantity, like I want 10 or 20 tons per month, the farmers cannot supply that, because they can only supply maybe 100 kilograms now, and then maybe 2 months later they have 50 kilograms, and then 3 months later they have 1 tons suddenly, and things like that. So there is no scheduling, there is no coordination, and that's I think the one that makes food supply chain in Indonesia in general is not really efficient. Not only the production side, but also the chain, because industry will be difficult to source their raw materials. Yeah.
That is quite interesting how we just found it is just not possible for a person just to have that many production as well. And anyway, to the audience, if you can tell me what is the English word for empon-empon, it will be very helpful, because it's very interesting. Yeah. What about from your side, Wilda? Like, what do you think is a problem with how we can improve the quantity and quality of yield? Like, as you said before, there's the community, and how has that role helped in the improvement of quality and quantity of yield?
Yes. Yeah. Well, the issue between the supply and the demand side is not only they don't match, but also the standardization of the market itself. As we know that in Indonesia, we are driven by the modern market standardization. Like we should have the big big fruits or the green vegetable, etc. But in the term of the condition is the farmers in Indonesia is not the industrial or the corporate farmers who can produce the same quality of the products. So, glad to know that a lot of e-commerce startup, especially they sell the vegetables, start to campaign. If the fruits and the vegetable is not as beautiful as you imagine, you can still eat them. And then the next issue that we can face in this point of the quantity and the quality itself is about the post-harvest treatment. In Indonesia, we have no logistic or the post-harvest treatment that can be standardized by the market. Farmers should looking for this kind of technology by themselves. Got my point, Widya?
Yeah. No, and I got it. No, I'm just like, I think it's a really interesting point that you came across as well, about like, it's not one of the key issues about like productivity as well. It's not only that, it's actually the post-harvest treatment, right?
Yes.
So like food wastage is also affected, and like one of the things that maybe is lacking is the logistic infrastructure for this kind of products in Indonesia in itself. So talking about productivity and yield, I'm sure like in Singapore, like they have to be like, there is a need to be more productive and more like you have to produce more per square meters in comparison to probably like Indonesia, where we have a larger arable land available. So what do you think are the key innovation and technologies that have been brought upon in the past years or something in Singapore to help feed the population?
Yeah. I think the biggest one is definitely about the unification of different technologies into one. So I think early on I did share that I think from my perspective when I talk to clients, the process for automation or technology adoption in agri-tech or agricultural companies in general, it's very fragmented. So like imagine, I mean, some of my clients they share with me like I want to adopt like AI, but to adopt AI you need like the conveyor system, you need to have a process that a guy comes over with shipment to put on a conveyor system, then to kind of like check the quality based on machine vision, for instance. And it's a very fragmented process because different hardware vendors operate differently. So you need kind of like a system integrator to integrate the different systems together and to form a complete solution for their clients. And right now, from where I stand, there isn't a very strong agri-tech system integrator right now in the market. Like in industrial automation, in aerospace, automotive, you can name all the top of your head, you can name a big ones. But agri-tech side there really isn't. And I'm just wondering, so I think the biggest reason why is because it's a very novel technology and application wise. So I think that is actually a big challenge. But also I've seen some companies trying to do it. So I think that in terms of technology innovation, I think it's not really about how new the technology is, but it's about current technologies applied in a very productive way. So that is where I believe it's going to be at for the next, at least for the next 5 years for agri-tech, because the technologies needed to have drastically increase in productivity, it's already there. It's really about applying it. Yeah, making like what Aryo mentioned, making a unit economic sense for these technologies to be applied. The market will naturally flow through. Then I think the community aspect that Wilda brought up, I think is very important because some of our clients do have some capital constraints as well. So if they're able to pool their resources together by whatever means, I think that would be something that is very interesting as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree with you. So the technology is already there, but not so much probably the application. Maybe Pa Aryo wants to add. I can see you ready to add.
Unmute myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good point there. I think too many startups right now are focusing on new technology and novel technology and dreaming on the long term that this is how we should farm in the next maybe 50 years or so. But we are lacking innovation that are connecting the dots from and right now to 50 years later, right? The current technology, actually the current farming system in Indonesia, the traditional farming system it's working, right? So nothing is broken, but we only need to improve it, improve the efficiency, improve the productivity. So I think we need more and more startups that are focusing on incremental improvement on terms of technology adoption that are focusing on efficiency and also productivity, not only just throwing some new drones out to the market and yeah, because we have seen the adoption of novel technologies like this in farming have been not really great, right? Because it is too far for farmers to adopt it directly, because especially in grain and staple foods. But in horticultures, I think that's quite a different case. But yeah, mainly in Indonesia, it's grain and staple foods, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Aryo. So we already have a couple of questions coming in actually from the audience about about our topic of discussion. I think one of the key questions that's actually getting a lot of vote is like, how to inspire more young people to be interested in farming ecosystem, right? So most people find it to be very laborious or boring and not sexy at all. So like maybe like how can we attract more generation of new farmers as well? So maybe Aryo can share.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I think to attract more and more young generation to farming, I think many people have said that we have to make it fun or sexy. But I think profitable. That's one of the key factors also, because right now people are seeing farmers not sexy because it is not quite profitable. If they see it, they see a poor farmers, they see pictures of farmers. So the favorite picture of farmers in many presentations is the traditional one, right? So that picture really get into the youngsters' mind, and if they are seeing agriculture, that's the picture that came up to their mind. I think we need to change that. We need to change the picture of farming to the sexier one, and also profitable, because everyone wants to get some profit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Aryo. I think like even nowadays, right, even in Singapore, you put a farmer like picture, right, some guy like plowing the land, but then there's a tractor for that. But it's just I think it's a societal thing. I guess I can share my perspective because actually we are situated in university, so we actually speak to a lot of youths, like Gen Z, Gen Y, and yes, it's not a sexy term, you know, like I want to be a farmer when I grow up. Like in Singapore, there's no such thing because there's no farmers, not a lot of farmers. But I think in Singapore, the perception is changing because the new wave of farming is about like one guy maybe doing QA QC inspections using machines. Not really like the guy pick up the orange and like see that. No, it's about QA QC using machines, maybe using drones or using robotics. So it's going to be a new kind of paradigm shift in terms of culture thing. And a lot of the Singaporeans that I speak to, they really understand that. But I think the issue in Singapore context, because I think that's all I can speak about, I'll let Aryo and Wilda speak about the Indonesian side, is that they do not have enough exposure to farming. So the lack of exposure means that they are only exposed to finance, to not even manufacturing, right, to finance, to maybe what's it called, like supply chain, but not really into farming. So I think that exposure is very, very important. Exposure to new concepts beyond just a guy plowing the land. So I think that will really change the ecosystem in general. Yeah. So maybe like what Widya said, right? Come visit vertical farmers, make them a bit more excited. I think that can change a lot of perception. Yeah.
Yeah, story about success story, right?
Yeah.
Important to communicate.
But I think that is also a key point that you also brought across before. Like the reason why people don't put technology yet is because there's no success story yet as well. But I think there are a couple of things that are changing. How about you, Aryo? Do you see a lot of, like you said that there's a lot of new startups entering the agriculture industry, right? Why do you think that this is becoming a new influx of agri-tech industry, especially coming from regions outside of Jakarta? Because we know that a lot of the startups are coming from Jakarta, but the regional side, right?
Yeah, I think that's down to exposure also, because most of young generation in Indonesia, they have parents that are farmers maybe, or grandparents that are farmers. So in terms of exposure, young people in Indonesia are pretty much still exposed to farming practices, and also a lot of startup events and startup competition and things like that. They also always mentioning about agri-tech as one of the sectors that are sexy for Indonesia and things like that, helping promoting agri-tech startup in Indonesia in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So another thing that is quite up and coming, I think, in the agriculture or even in the food industry is this is actually coming from one of the questions from the audience, like the Beyond Meat and the Impossible and a lot of like plant-based food are coming in to be a new influx of how people change their diets, right? So do you see any changes to the farming ecosystem with the introduction of this new plant-based diet in Indonesia? Or even in Singapore, maybe from your side, Daryl, like, do you see a lot of changes there?
Yeah, I guess I can start first. I think yes. I think that is a reality. So I know of a few companies doing laboratory or cell-based food, like milk, like protein, right? Like soya beans and stuff like that. I think it would definitely change the farming industry or even the definition of farming, right? To become a bit more like laboratory and more sciencey. So it is going to change, in my opinion, on this. But most of the food, the staple food, will still be coming from farms, like traditional, or even urban farms. It will still have to come from there because these like urban, like Beyond Meat, or these, they take very long to develop. R&D takes very, very long, and even if they can deploy, it's not the supply and demand matrix doesn't make sense for a lot of the cases. That's why the pricing is so high, because the supply and the demand just can't meet. So I do foresee at least for the next 10 to 15 years, most of the traditional farming in ecosystems won't change. But beyond that, I think that's where things get a bit more interesting, where laboratory cell-based proteins and things can become more mainstream.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I think
about
I agree with you. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Widya.
No, I was just gonna like, what? Or do you have anything to add to that? But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, but continue, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I think I agree with Daryl on this point, because I think laboratory grown protein food, I think like Beyond Meat or finless fish for fish are still a long way to meet the market, because it is still astronomically expensive, I think, because of the supply and demand, and also because of the technology itself. Because you need a lot of time to grow maybe only 10 grams of protein, right? So that's still a long time to go. But I think in the future we can see maybe this technology will shift, not producing a direct meat or competitors to fully grown animal, but maybe sometimes research can turn into another interesting things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like not substitutes, right? But like complements, right? Is it, Aryo?
Yeah. I think like that.
I kind of agree with that, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one of the examples how the consumer behavior has been changing, right, with the introduction of a plant-based meat. So another key thing that is happening in the world as well is that the recent pandemic, right? So consequently, it has changed the way people conduct their daily routines and daily behaviors. So to cope with these changes, do you see what solutions have farms turn to prevent the staff from losing their place in the supply chain? Like, what are the impact of this changing consumer behavior to the farming ecosystem? So maybe Wilda can share a bit, because one of the things that you do is like you connect directly to farmer, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mbak Widya. So from the start of this pandemic is announced by the president of the Indonesia. We talk to our farmers that they need to more clean and then more safe, etc. In 80 villages or Regopantes itself, we have no layer, because we connected with the farmers directly. Farmers, Farmers harvest and then pack their product properly, send to us to our hub, and then we distribute to our customers. So I think there is no big issue in villages or Regopantes itself. Because why? Because we have the simple supply chain, so we can we can reduce the potential of the contamination of the product. But we try to communicate with our farmers that they should wear the mask and then the head cap, etc., and then keep safe in this process of the transaction.
Okay, yeah. So that is cool, actually. Instead of like benefiting negatively, you're actually one of the one that has been positively impacted, right, during this COVID. How about from your side, Aryo? Have you seen, like, as an overview from your how has the farming ecosystem has been affected?
Yep. In terms of consumption, I think we haven't seen any reduced in terms of consumption from the downstream. But I think when we first hit by COVID in March or April, we see a little bit of lagging in terms of logistics because people are in lockdown and also cities are locking down their supply roads and things like that, and that's affecting the food supply chain in general in Indonesia. But that's only last, I think, for maybe a month. And after that, we can see that supply chains already came back to life, and I think we don't see any alteration in terms of pattern how people consuming things because we still see that most people right now are not adopting. We buy many things online right now, but I think in terms of vegetables or maybe spices and things like that, people are not really jumping towards online shopping as fast as consumer goods from my view, because I'm already I also trying to do some B2C type of vegetable distribution and things like that, but market adoption has been fast in the beginning in the maybe 3 to 4 months of COVID, but after that people are coming back again to traditional supply chain, to traditional market and also supermarkets.
Why do you think that is, that the market actually went back to the traditional supply chain rather than the one that was adopted earlier on?
I think that's psychological, not logical. I think because maybe people I just want to go out of my home. I need to go somewhere, so I go to supermarket. That's one thing, because sometimes I do that. I just go to supermarket, but I'm now choosing a supermarket that I know that they are doing some good COVID protocols, things like that. So that's a bit changing, because previously I go to just the nearest or the cheapest supermarket that I can reach. But right now, no, I just want to go to one particular supermarket that I know they are good in COVID prevention and procedures and things like that. But in terms of why people are doing that, I think people are still, especially for fresh product, but for consumer goods, processed product like maybe like snacks like this or anything in between, I think people can buy online. But for vegetables, spices, fish, fresh fish, you still have to go to the market.
How about you, Daryl? Do you see the same thing happening in Singapore as well? Or do you see a difference in the way people buy things or how people conduct?
Yeah, I think from the downstream side, I think it's a bit different from what Aryo mentioned in Singapore. So there is a significant increase in online, right? I think there's a generic or widespread thing. But in Singapore, especially, it's I think it's even more, because even though it's relatively convenient, like compared to Indonesia, to just go next door and just buy a grocery, a lot of my peers and even a lot of my friends, they just buy it online, because COVID-19 has basically required them to adopt a kind of an online mechanism of shopping. Even for fish, right, Aryo? So a lot of my friends, they buy the vacuum sealed like fish. They call it fresh fish, but you know it's not fresh. It killed like 1 week ago. But they call it fresh, so they're like, wow, it's very fresh. So it's just very interesting, right? And a lot of them are doing it. I think they only go to grocery shopping when they're like bored at home, or when they just like the shopping experience. But a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers, even my parents, right, they do online now, and this didn't happen before COVID. So that's something I would like to stress on. I think so, like RedMart, I think in Singapore it's RedMart, Lazada, Shopee. All these has a meteoric rise in consumption due to this change in habit. And I don't foresee it changing anytime soon. I think it's going to be the new norm lah. It's going to be this new norm. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Wilda? You agreed that the trend was like people adopted the online thing earlier on. Do you see the same as in Regopantes as well? Do you see like the trend where people just adopt through online shopping, and do you see that it's facing off and people are converting back to traditional?
Yes, I think I would like to talk same with Mas Aryo. People want to buy online for about 1 and 2 months on March and April, and after that, I think the people in Indonesia is very confusing. Should they stay at home or can they go to the traditional market, right? So I think the online shopping is very grow fast in this middle of the pandemic, but not for the vegetables or the fresh product. The people still want to go to the traditional market because why? Because they can get the lower price if they go to the traditional market, comparing with they buy online for the fresh product itself. But Widya, maybe I would like to share that Regopantes have two model of the business. The first is B2C. B2C is for the end customers, like we talking about, and the second is B2B. For the B2B side, the demand is very decreasing, about 60 to 80%, and the increasing of the B2C side is about three times. But the increasing 3 times of the B2C side is not comparable with the with the decreasing of the B2B side, and we want to help the farmers. As you know, the household consumption is not the same with the restaurant consumption. If you know curry, zucchini, etc., we are worried. The farmers do not want to plant that kind of the product again. Then we try to buy that product and make that product as the bonus or discount for our B2C side. So I think it will help, but not really helps.
Yeah. So that is a really interesting point that you just said, actually, like how you feel like even though there's an increase in the B2C concept, but it doesn't offset the B2B, right? So do you see this B2B demand picking up soon, or do you think that it will be the same in the next year or so? Like, do you see a recovery and how it will affect the farmer, or not yet?
Yes, the condition is being recovery by the last September, and it's still grow up and increase until today. But we know that the number of the increase consumption for the B2B is still not comparable with the last number of consumption itself.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty interesting topic. Maybe just to close off the panel, because we've discussed a number of things there. So I think this is a question from the audience called Ryan Guerrera. So I think this is a question that actually helps close the panel. So Ryan Guerrera has a fish farm, right? So he's asking, like, what kind of innovation or new technologies that the panelists might know that might be useful for him? So I think this is a good closing question for today's session. Like, what kind of technology that you think you can throw at this fish farm? Yeah. Maybe from Pak Aryo dulu. Yeah.
He's a fish farmer.
Yeah, he's a fish farmer, I think. Yeah.
Fish farmer. Okay. I
Yeah.
think for fish farmers there are a lot of new technology. One of the most popular is nano bubbles, because I think if you are farming fish, one of the critical point is how you supply the oxygen to the water, right? So nano bubbles is one of the technology that can increase your yield if you are farming commercial fish. But if you are farming some ornamental fish or things like that, I think that's more like a hobby things, and there is not a huge number of startups addressing those segments. But if you are farming commercial fish like maybe tilapia in Indonesia or catfish in Indonesia, patin or dory in Indonesia, there is so many technology that you can adapt. And also, I think if you are farming a shrimp, of course, that's my startups. Jala, you can use our sensors to monitor your water quality, and also our analytics will help you to get an increased yield and consistent harvest. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Aryo. It's a good also like you have Jala as well. Right? So maybe from Wilda, like what kind of like technology that can be implemented to fish farm? Maybe from your side, maybe from community or from your like market side.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no enough knowledge about fish, but I think Mas Aryo have the best answer because he has Jala, right? Yes, one of the things that I know in fish what is it for the fish farm is IoT for what is it automate feed the fish, and then automate know about the oxygen rate, etc. But I don't know. I think we know aviary is one of the tenant in Block 71 Jakarta, ya Mbak Widya. Yes,
Yeah.
I think aviary have the technology, but Jala have the same technology, ya Mas Aryo. I think Jala is the best.
About the same.
Okay. What about from your side, Daryl? Like, what kind of technology can you think that you can implement in a fish farm?
I mean, so beyond Jala, I think from because we actually have one project that is indirectly related to fish farming. So one of our customers or the companies that we work with, they produce like it's more upstream. So they produce the food that is used for fish farms. So I think conventionally, I'm not sure what they use, but the innovation that my client has is regarding like insects. So they use this thing called black soldier fly. I think some of you all know. It's very rich in protein. It's very economical. So they're able to sell these this food source to fish farms. So it's really being deployed to some of the biggest fish farms in Singapore, and they've had significant returns based on cost savings and also based on just the nutritional value of these food sources. So I think of course Jala seems to be a more direct related one. So I'll definitely recommend that as well. But yeah, I think there's a lot of innovation going on in the fish farming industry. So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of ideas out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Daryl. I think that is actually one of our one of channel at Block 71 also does fish feed, alternative protein fish feed. So I think we're closing in on today's session. I would like to thank all of the panelists, and anyway, for all the audience, if you are interested in agriculture, we're actually doing a deep dive in agriculture coming up in December called I360 on agriculture. And yeah, so I think we'll see Aryo again and maybe Daryl as well in the coming panelists. So thank you everyone for your time today. And yeah, I'll give it back to you, Rizky. Yeah.
Thank you, Widya.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, panelists and Widya, of course, for the great session. It's really been an honor and also a really great insight for me, also myself, to learn more about agriculture and tech agriculture, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, before I end this session, I want to remind you again another time. I always be remember you about all participants of innoXjogja. Please check out the innoXjogja platforms, as you can check the virtual booth and have a networking with all the participants. There's a startups, incubators, VCs, corporates. So if you want to get connected and then get collaboration with them, please do check out the innoXjogja platform. And one more time, for all information about our event innoXjogja, you can follow our Instagram at innoXjogja. And for all information, it will be inside of our Instagram. All right. This is so great. This is our second one. We will meet again at the third panel session on the next, and it will be me, myself, the one that will be moderated, and it will be about Royal Rumble, Jogja versus Bandung versus Jakarta. All right, with a lot of really great panelists also. And I'll see you again at 5 o'clock in today. Don't go anywhere, and stay healthy and stay safe. Bye.